What's up, YouTube peeps and YouTube world? How you guys doing? It's DJ and I'm back with another edition of DJDuzSports. If you look behind me, behind my ear right here, you'll see that I put a little poster board up here. That's my Twitter handle, at DJDuzIt, DJDuzit, and of course, subscribe, because I'm going to try to make it big on YouTube and get like 20 million subscribers and then get like 100 billion views, and then I'm gonna be like a gajillionaire. I don't know if it really works that way, but everybody has to have dreams, right? And I need you guys to, for every one viewer that watches, you need to go recruit like 1,000 viewers, and then I think we can keep this show on the road. I'm messing. Anyways, I have a really good show for you today. Enough with the small talk. We're going to do some headlines. We're going to do some conference outlooks, some predictions, and we're going to review last week's predictions. And we're going to talk Heisman, and we're going to pass out some awards. So without further ado, let's start the show. I'm going to start out my show with my Ohio State Buckeyes and what they did last night. At no point, I have to tell you, at no point in this game, even when we were down 17-7, was I nervous. Nebraska is a very good team, but I knew that if Ohio State does what they need to do and take care of business, that we should be in no trouble whatsoever. Now, the newly crowned number 8 Ohio State Buckeyes beat the dust off Nebraska 63-38. Braxton Miller had a very good game. Not in the first quarter. Quarters 2 through 4, he had a very good game. He went 7 for 14 through the air, 127 yards, 1 touchdown, 16 carries, 186 yards, 1 touchdown. 16 carries, 186 yards, and that's a quarterback. Number 2 rusher in the nation. Is sick. Carlos Hyde, showing why he calls himself King Carlos or King Hyde. 28 carries, 140 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's sick. Get at your boy, because he's on another level. Well, at least versus Nebraska. He always plays well against Nebraska. He had 2 touchdowns last year and ran for over 100 yards. But, yeah, King Carlos is getting it in. Taylor Martinez, he actually didn't have a bad game minus the 3 interceptions. But he went 15 for 25, 214 yards, 1 TD, 3 interceptions, 18 carries, 40 yards, 2 TDs through the ground. So 3 total TDs. 3 interceptions. Rex Burkhead was having himself a mighty fine game before he got hurt and never came back in the third quarter. He had 14 carries for 119 yards. And Kenny Bell, the receiver I was most concerned about going into this game, didn't disappoint. Had 5 receptions for 133 yards. Now, is Ohio State the best team in the Big Ten? I think so. But I also think that Nebraska is the best eligible team in the Big Ten. So I fully expect Nebraska to bounce back. Even Bo Pelini said they had to win out. I don't necessarily think they had to win out, but they had to be consistent, and I think they will be. Number 12, Florida State gets shocked by NC State 17-16 on a last-minute drive, led by Mike Glennon. E.J. Manuel went 17 for 29 for 218 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Chris Thompson for the Noles had 25 carries, 141 yards. Mike Glennon went 30 for 55, 259 yards, 2 touchdowns, including the game winner and 1 interception. Now, I'm asking you guys this because you know how I feel about Florida State. I knew coming into this season, like they are every year, overrated. Did you guys think they were overrated? And how will they rebound going forward? Actually, I'll tell you what I think. How they'll rebound going forward later on in the show. Florida State, the number 4 Florida State Gators tamed the Bayou Bengals 14-6. LSU dropped from like 4-9. Craziness. This was a really good defensive battle if you're into that kind of thing. I am. When I played in high school, I played defense. I played actually both, but I liked playing defense a little bit better. Neither quarterback actually played well this game. That's what led to the low score. And I asked you guys, where do these two teams go from here? Can Florida come out of the East and challenge Bama in the SEC title game? and will the Bayou Bengals bounce back and challenge Bama in the regular season? You gotta wait, hold on and see. Got some good stuff prepared for you guys later on, and I'll answer those questions. Number 3, South Carolina just stomped the fire out. They put out the Dogs 35-7. The Dogs dropped all the way down to number 14. Georgia didn't even score until 2 minutes left in the game. Aaron Murray was 11 for 31 for 109 yards and 1 interception. Marcus Lattimore carried the ball 24 times for 109 yards and 1 touchdown. This just shows me, and it's just confirmation, that Georgia doesn't play well in big games versus big teams. They kind of go back to the dog house, so to speak, no pun intended. I guess I was a pun intended. I'm sorry. I was a pun intended, but it wasn't very good. I'm not a comedian, people. I'm just a guy who loves sports that tries to make a joke that probably doesn't go over too many times. But since Georgia, I'm sorry, I'm rocking. Since Georgia doesn't play well in big teams, in big games versus the big teams, this has me thinking that Mark Richt is now on the hot seat. I think that the SEC fans, they want results. And Georgia is an SEC team, and their fans want results. And Mark Richt is bringing them great recruits. He's always getting a good preseason ranking, but he's not getting the results that they desire. So I do believe that Mark Richt is on the hot seat, and he better step up to the challenge. He might get fired this year, but if he doesn't do something good next year, then I think he will go to the sit-go. That means get fired. He's going to have to be working at the sit-go. That's something that they say here in Columbus. Sorry, I might just went over people's heads like, what? Sit-go? I don't, what? Moving on. Number 5, West Virginia. They backed up their previous game of the week with another game of the week with the 48-45 victory against the number 15 Texas Longhorns. Geno Smith, if this guy is not on your Heisman top list, your top list for the Heisman, then you're a hater and you don't know football. This guy has been consistent, has been the most consistent player this year in college football. He went 25 for 35 this week, 268 yards to the air, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I got some stats about him that'll blow your mind later on because they totally just blew mine. So keep watching and you're going to see some good stuff. Andrew Bowie for West Virginia at 31 carries for 207 yards and 2 touchdowns. David Ash, I remember coming into the season, he and Colt McCoy's little brother had a pretty good quarterback battle coming in. But David Ash has definitely cemented his name in that position, and he's playing pretty well. Anyways, he went 22 for 29, 269 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions. And was this game a Heisman moment for Geno Smith on the road versus a top team in Texas? I think it was. Not like he needed another one, but this is definitely another etch in his book. This game of the week was just more icing on the cake as to why he will be the Heisman winner. Oregon flattens the Huskies 52-21. I'm not really going to read the stats. Just know that Oregon is by far the number 2 team in the nation. I was the number 1 team in the nation, but Alabama has yet to be beat going back from last year's national championship game. They are the top dogs, but Oregon, in my opinion, is the only team that can decrown them. It's the only team that can look them in the eyes, not be scared of them, and say, we're taking that crown back to Autzen Stadium in Eugene, Oregon, with our ugly, sometimes ugly uniforms. Sometimes those jerseys are ugly. You have to admit them yourself. Even if you're an Oregon fan, some of those combinations are just dreadful. Anyways, let's go to the conference outlooks. I have SEC. I have Bama winning the SEC outright. I have Florida playing Bama in the title game, with, of course, Bama winning. In the Big 12, I have West Virginia winning in their very first season. In the Pac-12, I have Oregon winning outright. And I have Oregon versus the Trojans in the title game, with, of course, Oregon winning, setting up a possible national championship between Oregon and Bama, which will be great. I would love to see that because the last year's national championship game sucked, and I didn't tune in because I was going against them, and I was like, if I don't watch, my one view will hurt them. And apparently you guys didn't watch either because that was like the lowest rated national championship game in years. In the ACC, I have Florida State winning outright. I have Florida State versus Miami in the ACC title game. In the Big Ten, I have Ohio State winning outright, but since they cannot compete in in postseason activities, I have Nebraska versus Wisconsin, with Nebraska winning and going to the Rose Bowl. Let's talk about predictions. Last week, I'm sorry, I still have a cold too. Last week I went 4-3. Let's see what I had. I had Oregon beating Washington, and they did. I had Florida beating LSU, and they did. I had Georgia beating South Carolina, and they didn't. Thanks, Georgia, for making me look like a dope. I'm going to sue you guys. I'm not really going to sue you guys. I probably shouldn't say it before they sue me for something. People can sue anybody for anything nowadays. I had West Virginia beating Texas, and they did. I had Ohio State beating Nebraska, and they did. I had Northwestern beating Penn State, and they were Northwestern. You cannot play with a lead. What happened? You guys were up 11 in the fourth quarter. You guys made me look like a jack. You know what? Thanks, Northwestern. Now I look like I don't know what I'm talking about. Penn State's a very good team, though. Who am I kidding? Penn State, you guys are better than what I expected. But you guys got to play Ohio State in a night game in a couple weeks, and I can't wait. I had, for my upset pick, I had Miami beating Notre Dame, and that was a joke because Miami lost 41-3. Again, maybe I just don't know how to pick. The week before I went 7-0. Now I go 4-3. I'm going to give you my predictions for this week coming up, and hopefully I go 7-0 again. I have Bama at Mizzou. I have Bama winning 34-19. South Carolina at LSU. I have South Carolina winning that game 27-24. Stanford at Notre Dame. I have Notre Dame winning that 40-31. And my upset pick, I have USC at Washington. I have Washington winning by a point, 28-27. Texas versus OU in Dallas. I have Texas winning that game, 20-13. Louisville at Pitt. I have Louisville winning 45-19. And Indiana State versus North Dakota State. I have North Dakota State winning 30-14. Just because I try to incorporate all kind of teams in my videos, so nobody gets left out. I hope everybody feels welcome. I hope everybody watches my stuff. So I want to incorporate all these different teams. Now for my Heisman, this is really in no particular order, but the first guy, Geno Smith, and then after that, really no particular order. Geno Smith has a quarterback rating of 146.7. He's thrown for 1,996 yards, 24 touchdowns, 0 interceptions is the big one. Oh yes, and he's 81. He's thrown. He has an 81% completion rate. That's sick. Nobody's doing that. This guy is sick. Matter of fact, we should just give him the Heisman right now because he's not going to lose it. Anyways, I have AJ McCarron next. He has a quarterback rating of 130.4. He's thrown for pretty much 1,000 yards. He's thrown for 999 yards, 12 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, which is good in his own right. 65.8% completion rate. I have Stedman Bailey, 49 receptions, 710 yards, 13 touchdowns. Braxton Miller, he has a quarterback rating of 99.0. He's thrown for 1,060 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 61.5% completion rate. But here's where it gets good: 106 carries, for 763 yards, which is second best in the nation. Oh, and he also has 8 touchdowns in the ground. That guy's great. Now I took the Anthony Thomas out from the Ducks, and I put Manti Te'o and the linebacker for Notre Dame. He has 36 tackles, 3 interceptions, leads the team in both. Now let's give out some awards because it's almost my time to go. For the best team performance, I give that to you, South Carolina Gamecocks. You guys went out there in a really big game and just embarrassed the Georgia Bulldogs. For the best individual performance, Braxton Miller. This one goes to you. When it's Miller time, it is Miller time, indeed. Braxton Miller, you are the man. The worst team performance, I got to give that to the Georgia Bulldogs because, you know, they went out there and stunk up the joint in a big game. And for the worst individual performance, the Chris Bosh will cry for your award. Aaron Murray from the Georgia Bulldogs gets this because he went out there and played horribly and he had PP running down his leg. Anyway, subscribe to my videos, leave comments, tell me who you think Tell me who your Heisman favorites are, and of course, I'll see you next week.